testing. Okay, alright, hi. Alright, non-resident training course, September 1998, Navy Electricity Electronic Training Series, Module 22, Introduction to Digital Computers, Navy ED, NAVDTRA 14194, Distribution Statement approved for public release, Distribution Unlimited. Table of Contents, Chapter 1, Operational Concepts, Chapter 2, Hardware, 3, Software, Digital Representation Communications. Alright, throughout this step of this course, you will use the technical manuals associated with the equipment you'll be working with. You will find below the notations and some of the paragraph notations used to emphasize the safety hazards exist or care must be taken observed. Warning, operating procedure, practice, or condition, etc., which may result in injury or death if not carefully observed or followed. Caution, operating procedure, practice, condition, etc., which may result in damage to the equipment not carefully observed or followed. Note, any operating procedure, practice, condition, etc., which is essential to emphasize. And then, Chapter 1, Operational Concepts. Learning objectives. Learning objectives are stated at the beginning of each chapter. Learning objectives serve as a preview of the information you're expected to learn in chapter. The content check questions played throughout the chapter based on objectives. By successfully completing the non-resident training course, you indicate that you have met some of the objectives that have learned information. Learning objectives chapter of this list. Upon completion of the chapter, you'll be able to do the following: describe history of the computers, describe computers are classified, explain how digital computers are obtained during each generation, describe the practical application of digital computers in the Navy, describe the initial steps of the need to use the micro computer, exchange, storage, media handling, backups, and threats to storage data. Introduction to digital computers. The main facet of today's Navy would be impossible. The need for the module to cover all the ways that you can doubt that in few ways they are covered later in this chapter. The purpose of the module is to acquaint you with the training, the basic principle, technique, the procedures associated with digital computers. Will use desktop personal computers for the most example. The personal computers should be familiar with the use of the large mainframes and the operating principle of the personal computers related directly with the operating principle of mainframe computers. You will learn the basic terminology of the digital computer world. You have to believe this chapter satisfactory. You will have the better understanding of how the computers are able to perform demanding tasks assigned to them. If you were to define the word of the computer, you would say that the computer is an instrument performing the mathematical operations such as addition, multiplication, division, subtraction, integration, vector resolution, coordination, conversion, special function generation, very high speed, but usage of the computer will depend on mathematical operations level. Computers have made possible military, scientific, and commercial advances that before were considered impossible. The mathematics involved with operating satellite around the Earth, for example, require several teams of mathematics for a lifetime now. And now that the age of the electronic digital computer for the conquest space has become reality, computers are employed with the repetition, calculation of the process with a large amount of the data necessary for the most frequent application found in the military, scientific, commercial field. They are used the very projects ranging from the mail sorting through engineering design to the applications destruction and enemy target advantage of the digital computers include the speed, accuracy, reliability, manpower, safety. Frequently, computers are able to take over the routine jobs, releasing people from the more important work they cannot be handled. That work that cannot be handled by a computer. It's true of the computers. Every increase the need, the faster, the more efficient computer that has greater technology advantage. They have considered the amazing for since the human to discover that it was necessary to count with objects. We have to come looking for the easier way to do it. The contrary of the popular belief that digital computers are new to the idea of the abductus manual of the origin operative of digital computers of the ancient civilization used to this day in the Orient. For this, those who consider the abductus out of date with the contest between a person with a modern calculator and a person who is abductus, the person with an abductus using the abductus 1. The first mathematical adding machine with a calculator was invented by Blaise Pascal in 1642 with the 20 years. 20 years later, the English man Sir Manuel Moore had developed the more complicated device that multiply, add, and subtract. In 1682, Williams Lambton instrumented him to perfect the machine that could perform all basic operation, adding, subtracting, division, multiplication, as well as the extract for the square of the root. The Libyan principle is still used today in modern electronic digital computers. As early as 1919, electronics entered the scene with the article of W.H. Eccles and F.W. Jordan described the electronic trigger circuit that would give the automatic counting that was the Excel Jordan multi-vibrator, which little had of time because of the trigger circuit is one of the many of the components required to make an electronic digital computer. More digital computers use the circuit is known as a flip-flop for some information perform arithmetic operations and control the timing sequence within the computer. Under the presence of the need of the World War II, the science electronic data medicine made with the giant strides forward. In 1944, the Harvard University developed the computing system known as the automatic sequence control calculator. After an initial design and construction served to improve, the models were built. Meanwhile, the University of Pennsylvania, a second system was developed. The system completed in 1946 with the electronic numerical integrator computer The electronic numerical integrator in computer employed 18,000 vacuum tubes within circuitry, but despite of the bulky hot tube, it was quite successful. First problem inside with an electric numeric integrated and calculator was a calculation in nuclear physics that would have taken 100 human years to solve the conventional method. The electronic numerical integrated computer solved the problem in 2 weeks, only in 2 hours, which actually spent on the calculation. The remainder of the time was spent checking the result of the operating details. All modern computers have the basic in these two early development conducted by Harvard University of Pennsylvania. In 1915, 1950, the UNIVAC was developed. UNIVAC 1 was developed. The machine was regarded as the most successful electronic data processor of the day. The outstanding feature of the UNIVAC 1 had checked its own result at each step of the problem, that eliminated the need for the run of the problem with more one's accuracy. During the first outbreak of the publicity about the computers, especially the UNIVAC 1, the UNIVAC predicted the outcome of the 1950 presidential election. The term the giant brain caused much of the confusion and uneasiness of the name of the people soon the science of the head created thinking device support for the human mind. Currently, most people know better with the but humans name of the giant brain is no more than talented idea with the whole dependent upon human instructions to perform even the simplest job of the computers alone. Of the machine definitely cannot think of itself as the field of the artificial intelligence. However, develop a computer system that can think, that is mimic the human thought with a specific area and improve the performance of the experience. Operation field of digital computers is still the growing stage. New type of the circuitry, new ways of accomplishing things are continuing to be developed at a rapid rate. In the military field of accomplishment with the digital computers is made with a very outstanding example of the weapon system of the controlling is done with digital computers. Classification of computers. Computers can classify in many different ways, but they can be classified by the type of the technology, either mechanical, electromechanical, or electronic. The purpose of they were to design the general purpose of the special purpose, the type of the data that can be handled with dialogue, and digital or analog by the amount of the cost of the 50 to 100 million, from $50 to $150 to 10 million up. Even the physical side of the physical size handles the room size. We briefly explain the mechanical, electric, and computer, special purpose, general purpose computers, analog and digital computers. Mechanical computers, analog computers device with competition mathematical problems that made up of the components of such integrated with the sliding rack, the cams, gears, springs, and the drive shaft. Figure 1, 2 show the typical mechanical computer. You can name the computers analog nature, the physical side of the depend, but the number of the function of the computer has to perform. In an analog computer, continuing input will give the constantly updated output. This begins very perfect for the target information within the Navy. The analog computers primarily for the gunfire control of the system of the Navy. The weapons become more and more complex. They need different computers was comparing with the functions that have been performed and increase the size of the computer in an unreasonable scale. Alright, figure 1, 2 show the bulkhead type mechanical computer. Electromechanical computers came to the next differ for the mechanical computers if they use the electronic components to perform some of the calculations to increase the accuracy. Because the electronic components are smaller, the mechanical counterparts of the size of the computer would reduce it, even though that performs more functions. The components are used to perform the functions while the synchronous servos, resolvers, amplifier servo amplifiers, summing networks, panometers, linear panometers. Figure 1-3 show the one of the Navy electromechanical computers. The computers use the gunfire with control, missile fire control. Even though they are better for the mechanical computers, still have their drawbacks of the prime importance of today. Or special computers, they may only be the job depending on their design characteristics. Today, with the Navy standard, but still large for the maintenance time of them. Success for the need for more accurate, reliable, versatile small computers was recognized. This show for the computer MK47 and MK16 electromechanical computers, electronic computers. Next came the electronic computer. Earlier electronic computers, mathematical processes were solved with electrical voltage only applied with the elements of amplifier, something that with differentiating integrated circuits. The weak link in this type of electronic computation was the vacuum tube to correct the transistor, which comes left of the power less long with the vacuum tube were used to amplify. Through technological research that developed that were progressed from the tube of the transistor as miniaturized circuits and integrated circuit with the advantage made possible to reduce the size of the weight of our computers. Figure 1-4 shows the example of the modern electronic digital computers. The 1-4 shows the electronic digital computer special purpose computers. Special purpose computers name that imply that the design performs a specific operation usually so satisfy with the need of the particular type of the problem, such as the computer system would be useful in the weather prediction, satellite tracking, oil exploration. With a simple purpose of the computer, we have to make many of these same features. Found that the general purpose of the computer is applicable to the particular problem of the function of the design rather than the store program. The instrument of the control of the built directly into the computer, which makes it more efficient, effective with the operation. The drawback of the specialization, however, the computer lacks versatility. It cannot be used to perform out of the operation. General purpose of the computer, the general purpose is used designed to perform the wide variety of function operation. You would probably take the type of the computer, the general purpose computer is able to perform the wide variety of the operation because of the success. Execute a different program with internal storage. Unfortunately, having ability to, is often achieved at the expense of the speed efficiency of most situations. However, we will find that the flexibility makes compromise most acceptable. 1. Analog computers. All analog computers are special purpose computers designed to measure the continuous electronic physical conditions such as the current voltage flow, the temperature, length, the pressure, the convert, the measure, the relay, the mechanical electronic quantity. The early analog computers were strictly mechanical electromechanical devices. They did not operate on digits in the binary notation, either the characteristic 0, 1. If the digits were involved with all, they were obtained indirectly with your wristwatch or non-digital. Your car speed, the oil pressure, temperature, field gauge are considered the analog computers. The output of the analog computer is often an adjustment with the control of the machine with the touch of the adjustment of the valve with the control of the flow of the steam with the turbine generator, the term setting with the control of the oven, and ships galleys for the baking. Analog computers are even to control the process. To do this, they must convert analog data to digital form, process it, and convert a digital result back to analog form. You should know that digital computers can process the data with greater accuracy than an analog computer, but the analog computer can process data but an analog computer can process data faster than a digital computer in some systems. Some of the computers combine with the function both analog and digital. They are called hybrid computers. Digital computers perform the arithmetic logic function of the separate discrete the data with like numbers with the combination of the discrete data with the name of the written division make the difference for the analog computer for the operate continue with the data like measuring temperature change with the generally with the digital computer the business specific data with the process of the following are use example the accounting computer with the idea with the keeping the payroll records printing paycheck with the play bill and customer paying tax or the take the care of the money with the other accounts of the task of the organization record keep the computer's record information with the inventory personal file. You can also keep the books check with the library airline take the account of the over the much more efficient but then they used to be and then thanks to centralized reservation computer that have reached with over the telephone lines industrial computer with the either save the considerable time to reduce waste for the efficiency of the performing hundreds of the industrial tasks range for the filling sales order routing parts of the various locations for the assembly line with the design with the earthquake resistant structure for the control of the entire oil refinery science research development application for the numerous the digital computer for the lengthy complicated mathematical calculation millions of times faster than a human beginning. Are used to collect and store the evaluate data for the experiment to analyze weather patterns of the forecast crops, statistic, believe it or not, design other computers. Word processor. Remember the words are you the type of the desktop computer. Word processor the amount with the most common application of the personal computers. If you've not discovered the advantage of the computer writing and design with the vision of the computer dealer with personalized demonstration. None of the work could be performed by the computer without first instructing the computer how to do it. Main of the list of instructions called the program. The instruction for the program must be written on one with the language computer to understand. Most popular generic term of the computer programs software. This is covered in Chapter 3, hardware covered in Chapter 2. Of the course, this refers to the computer-related equipment. It's easy to say that both hardware and software are interdependent because of the need that can perform useful work with it. Without the other digital computers may be easy, special, general purpose. Accuracy of the computer. Fundamental difference between analog digital computer. The digital computers deal with the discrete quantity of the beat, with the abask, the notch of the tooth wheel, with the electrical pulse, while the analog computers deal with the continuous physical variables, electrical voltage, mechanical shaft, the rotation computation, analog computers depends on the relationship of information measurement of physical quantity. For example, the quantity difference over the number of the boards picked for each for the digital the analog system file. In the digital, you use adding the machine count of the boards on by one. The analog and the figure 1-5. You draw the string marked off the inches of the width of each of the board and include the gap over length of the fence. The measuring with the length of the string and the number of the boards then be determined dividing the length of the string number by the inches of the per board. So the digital and the computation. And then board 6 foot wide, 6 inches wide, string 10.5 inch long, scale 1-to-1, gap 3 wide, board gap, analog computer computation. Or the accuracy of analog computer with the accuracy of physical quantities came when they be sent with the display with the term of the relay of the quality of the computer, the construction of the computer, for example, the quality of the electrical resistor, mechanical shift, the quality of the other output of the equipment. In analog computer, for example, the constant represented with the voltage, and probably could read with the third decimal. On the other hand, the accuracy of the digital computer is governed by the number of the significant figures the computer, everything computed for the turn is determined the computer design in the digital computer, the number of the digital fifth plate for the concept of the could be many depending on the design of the computer process unit. Digital computers therefore capable of higher precision and accuracy. However, the computer, regardless of the accuracy, we do not good for the wrong one with the choice for the given task. But for the computer system, you will work with the general purpose of the digital computer. For the remainder of the module, with the general purpose of the digital purpose of digital computers. Our digital computer generation, electrical computer world, we measure the technical advance for the generation of the specific system along with the specific generation. Each generation indicates the significant change of the computer design. Univac represents the first generation. Currently, we are moving the toward the fourth generation. First computer for the generation 1951 and 1958 was typically a large machine with the character of the vacuum tube. The cover of the vacuum tube have the unreliable required a lot of the power to run. So much of the adequate air conditioning was critical to protect computer cards compared with today's computers. They are slow input with the output devices, slow in the processing hard, had a small storage capacity with the more internal processing function of them were measured within thousands of the second, millisecond with software computer program. Even the first generation computer, unsophisticated machine oriented with the main meant the programmers had to encode all the computer instruction data. The actual machine language had all to keep the work track of where the instructions data were stored in the memory of the machine. Using such machine language was efficient for the computer to be difficult for the programmer. Second generation 1963 character of the transistor form figure one type instead of the vacuum tube transistor were small, less expensive for the general. Almost no heat required with very little. Second generation computers were small, but required less power to produce a lot of less heat. Use of small, long-lasting transistors also increase the producing speed and reliability. Cost performance also improve the strong capacity greatly. Increase the introduction magnetic disk storage. Use the magnetic cores with main short high-speed card readers and printers. Magnetic tape. Use also to introduce internal processing speed. Increase the functions were measured in millionths of the second or microsecond for the first generation. Particular computer for the second generation designed to process the specific and oriented problems both but not both. The software was also improved with the symbolic machine language. The assembly language were used instead of the actual machine language that allowed the program to mnemonically operate codes for the instruction operations and allow the stored location stored variables. Compiler languages were also developed in the second generation computers. Figure 7, see Chapter 3, Figure 1. So the second generation use of the transistors. Third generation computer in this generation, 1964 to 1970, made with the still the character of the miniaturized circuit that reduced the physical side of the computers even more, increased the durability, internal process speed. One design employed with the solid state logic microcircuit which the conductor resistor die with transistors have been miniaturized combined with a half-inch ceramic square with another small design with a silicone wafer down, which the circuit component etch. Small circuit also allow the fast internal processing speed, resolve the faster execution instruction. Internal processing speed measured in billionth of a second or nanosecond. The faster computer makes it possible to run a job with it considered impractical and impossible on the first second of the generation. Equipment that may cover the main miniature, but the component with more reliable maintenance is reduced. A new massive storage for the data cell was introduced during the generation, given the storage capacity over the 100 characteristic drum and the disk capacity of the TV have improved. The portable disk pack have developed the faster high density magnetic tapes have come into the use. Considerable improvements were made with the card reader. The print of the overall cost have been greatly reduced. The application of the online processing, real-time processing, time-sharing, multi-programming, multi-processing, teleprocessing have been widely accepted more in later chapters. One issue of the third generation computers used in microcircuit. The manufactured third generation computers for the producing series of similar compatible computers that allow the program to be written from one computer model to run with a much larger model with the same chip. The third generation of the system was designed to handle both scientifically based business processing application, improve the program and operating software with this is designed to provide better control result with the faster processing. It has been a significant importance for the computer operative with a simple system and initializing booting, minimize the need of the input for the program for the keyboard console integration with the operator. The fourth generation and beyond. This computer of the fourth generation are not easily extinct with the earlier generations, but they are some of the directly important differences. Manufacturing integrated circuit that have the advanced point with 1,000 of the circuit active component that can be placed on a silicone wafer only with a fraction of the inch of the size computer on the chip. Lab, which is called the large scale integration LSI, the very large scale integration VLSI, the result of the technology computer for the significantly smaller physical side of the work. Altogether, they are retain larger member the capacity of the ultra for the large mainframe with the computers with the increased complexity. Medium side of the computers can perform in the sense of the function. Same as the large third grade computer for the entirely new breed of the computers called the microcomputers. Mini computers are small, expensive, yet but provide a large amount of the computing power. Our cathode ray tube display. Screen, disk A, disk B, keyboard. You saw them in the very feature for the computer industry. They still have along the way with the miniaturization. You can expect the power large for the mainframe computer with a single super chip, massive database that's up for the supply system, and they may be written within the read-only memory or ROM. The piece of the equipment is no bigger with the desktop, the more than ROM on Chapter 2. The future with the channel with the encrypted storage, encrypted the computer power with rather important perspective with even computing the power available. There where software programs such as the assembler, the report generator, subroutine, libraries, compilers, operating system, application program will come into play. Chapter 3 seem to move believable developments for the software learning with how to use extraordinary, powerful machines were already possessed with far more than further developments hardware that over the next 10 and 20 years. As a result, next 20 years during the year, the carrier may even more interesting suppressing than the last 20 years. Alright, use of digital computer. In the modern computer world of today, the use of digital digital computer almost for the limited the purpose of the imagination. The new, the better program of the written every day with the easier engraver that could serve the how many mathematicians would it take to be put an astronaut in orbit around the moon, but only it takes one computer. But this think back to the days without the word processing the document had to be retyped entirely with the change that we need. Think back to the days when you the adding machine to prepare the revised budget of the accounting reports like three primary the general purpose of the digital computers, namely the word processing, accounting, record keeping, word center uses. Word processing. One of the more widespread use of the computer was word processing. The word processor, namely the conservative typewriter with the display screen, the hundreds of thousands of word processors users. Word computers no more, nothing more than teletypewriter. More than a keyboard. Keyboards and have mechanisms more than imaginary characters that you strike with a keyboard may appear with some of the type of the visual medium. When using an electric typewriter with the process is strictly mechanical. The press for the key, the call for the type of the face, the trick paper, the indoors doing the leave the impression of the computer process, the more indirect the program store for the computer's memory, call for the visual representation, view of the cathode ray tube or the printer. However, the view of the point of the user of the result of the same, the printed document, the greater advantage of the computer, though with the typewriters of the correcting error of the past, correcting the document typewriter that has been typed, although but then again, since the computer allowed the movement of the information one part of the memory to another, possible to make the change of the document with the print of the result. If the document is still not correct, the only change that can be entered need not to be entered due to the computer with a particular way to come down to be known as word processing. F4 through became the development word processing application program microcomputer program fraction either of their off the machine counterparts could be run on the general purpose of microcomputers. Unique because the general purpose of microcomputers can be used to function so the spreadsheet database management system programming and computer language of the Navy civil use of the microcomputers view the word processing program could be put some of the manuscript writing and in application card application file and keeping. Or accounting and record keep the virtually unlimited application of the computer today with the bound business world and the basic account with the control of the manufacturer profit with the course to keep record of each action. The systems dealing with accounting principles that widely accepted. These systems are 1 order entry, 2 inventory control, 3 account receivable, 4 accounts payable, 5 general ledgers, 6 payroll, figure 5, 10 show the simplified flowchart for the payroll, the area with the record keep the 2 requirements legal and audit. The Navy is included the similar function with the ship or non-technical ADP program for the work center start input employees hours rate pays for hours less than 40 hours yes, compute overtime pay computer rate regular pay check stop work center use the snap tube that every Navy unit responsible for some element of the ship and play for every rate with the record keeping has been turned not to run administrative chore that goes along with the work be with the dome with the take with the background with the position of the physical maintenance of the ship the equipment today above aboard some of the ship some soon aboard most of them much of the hassle will be done with the snap. Navy has been looking at the back paper blizzard of the record keeping the responsibility essential the records report that must be jumped that head as offered relief of the fleet with as informed of the snap of the stand with the shipboard non-technical ADP program. Snap 2 is a modern shipboard computer system designed to support the shipboard and immediately maintenance of the supply financial and administrative function of the sound with the confusing isn't the system is designed for the user friendly. This operating instruction written every day with the English figure 111 that show the ANUYK62V the data processing set of the Snap 2 computer is associated with the hardware display printer with disk memory unit floppy disk the data terminal group hand fed card reader large printer paper tape reader punch magnet tape unit disk memory word processing printer. Over the next 3 of the new functions will be added with the Snap to support more of the ship with the administrative workload, pay personal food serve with the ship, over the PMS, with the training, with the medical, dental, with the dab, with the Snap system, the concept, the take with the power, with the modern computer, the ability to process information, put the boards and power in the band of the work center, for the sailor that can use the system with the reduce the labor associated with the paperwork function, the use of the terminal, for the differential, different work center, for the view of the work center. Supervisor each work center with the differential access code, the access code of the password prevent the unauthorized entry of the main computer's program and differential level of the entries of the defined level of demand of the work center needs. Information stored in the computer typical work with the center with the normally with the following items that can be up to date with the work center supervisor COSOL or coordinated onboard shipping allowance list is a listing of repair parts allowed to be kept on board to ship the allowance parts list is reference to the exact number, part number, the quality allowed the onboard, the specific, say the equipment identification code, EIC, that identifies the system, subsystem, equipment, shipment for workforce, shipment force work list is all the workers to perform certain work certain during the given time period. With the CSPMP, the certain ship maintenance project, provide shipboard maintenance managers with a consolidated listing of the deferred maintenance for the manager, the control of its accomplishment, but the few of the Snap 2 can be updated work center supervisor. Although information is usually visually with the display screen, the cathode ray tube print with a hard copy of the Today, the hard copy output of the snaps can be sent with a high authority of lieu with a written report in the future. The hard copy transmittable must be replaced with a disk and tape contained with the same data. In some cases, the shipboard computers will have the extra telephone wire with a pair with intended for the information can be exchanged electronically. And there are other important benefits of the system expedite the storage and retrieval of the information about the ship in terms of the information must be accessed with more timely platforms improved aid with the plan with how long the schedule ship the overhaul the information made decision whether the place for the additional remove the unnecessary ship the decision made are now made laborious using stacks of printed file that snaps can store the file with electronically Navy plan with can make the effective the timely decision. Snap 2 is a system unclassified usually only present with the cuts of the copy of the installation many of the physical electronic security requirements. Using a desktop computer. The use of a desktop personal computer effectively you will need to learn something about the hard drive equipment software the program you will often need to handle the disk and how the back of the programs and data files set it. So let's assume that the desktop computer is system the hardware of the display with your keyboard, computer 2, floppy disk drive, the A and B, the printer with the look of the example figure 112. You need the software computer program to computer operate with the first. But you need the operating system made for the computer allow you to run the application program like the word processor, the record keeping. So let's begin with the operating system. Operating system is a simple step of the program routine for the last you for the other program. The computer, the digital computer, the one controls that program, the operating system made for the execute the programs to perform the common function for the read, write, and print. Other programs use the use the user of the order operating system that performs computer common function for the order. The system calls, while the other programs use the simple commands when they put them through the keyboard. First, you load the operating system into the computer, while the other program's computer. Remember the example of the desk computer. Two floppy disks named A and B, the booting system. Each desktop computer has a built-in program called the bootstrap loader. You turn the computer on the program tries to load or boot the external operating system. From the disk, usually from the drive A of the computer, internal memory of the disk B, but usually from the data disk files. Turn the boot with the comes from the ideal pulling yourself up by your bootstrap of the computer leads the little program from the disk that tells you how to load the second bigger program. Operating system tells you how to load another program, the application program, and the utility program to perform the specific job function. The first thing you need to learn about the computer in this is that the computer the program are very practical, but they require complete accuracy for the attention for the detail of your part, and they are no good, and they are not good guessing what you meant. You quickly learn that there are a few things that you can go wrong with it. At this point, which give the case whether you will give an error message for the display screen, similar to this device error. This means the computer is not reading with the A drive, and check for no floppy disk in the drive A. The floppy disk is inserted incorrectly in the drive lock handle on the drive is not lowered. Another error message was received at this time. No system underneath the computer reading the properly with insert the floppy disk, but the disk does not have the operating system on it. Replace the disk with one that does have contain the operating system. Once the operating system is properly loaded, properly booted and loaded, you will see the display C A and then A is greater than. You now have the call prompt of the position of the telecom computer with the do next to the running application of the program. Example: the word processing counting record. Running the application program. Load the application program with the computer drive A with the disk and the application program disk drive A. Next type of the program following the operating system. Parentheses greater than drive A drive word proc tells the system program to load and run within capable word proc the computer then does the application program tell the application word proc the system ready for the time of a new document with current correcting existing document printing the document and so on that you learn with the operating system and application programs in chapter 3. Each application program will have the only set of the instruction file with the additional print of the documentation may include with the help of the screen that we can display with while you're working, they will tell you how to perform the give the function operation. Another area need for the constant attention with the relay for the handling floppy disk, the making of the backup copy to be sure is not lost. Storage media handling and backup the floppy disk figure 113 1 media you will store to have the file that you will create either directly backing up the data you store on your hard drive the fix for the data for the history and cover the floppy disk extremely fragile. You show the follow certain guidelines to ensure the proper carrying with the handling. This includes proper handling backing up the disk. Show the Mylar disk line right product notch disk jacket timing hole reads right slot disk envelope. Handling never to touch the exposed surface of the disk. Also, as you know, you will learn most of the surface of the actual disk is protected most of the time. However, the area that are exposed, the areas of the timing hole of the reading right slot with the touch of the exposed area can run. With a particular area, if you're familiar with the Murphy's Law, you will realize the area of the run with the invariable contain with the most important data of the disk. Storage never been the fold, otherwise disk distort the shape of the disk never play for the heavy object such as the books or top of the disk store the data and store the disk in the box that came in a filing container specially designed for the storing disk. Store the disk vertically, but if you do not if you do store disks horizontally, do not stack them over more than 10 disks. Exposure. Disks are subject to the exposure of magnetic field, smoke, heat, and sunlight. X-rays may also have the negative effect. Magnetic field disk should never be exposed to anything that could be the source of the magnetic field. Exposed to the disk, the magnetic field will cause the destruction of some of all the data contained on the disk. Some of the course of the magnetic energy that are cathode to a disk drive, perhaps most common in the telephone. Smoke can cause the build up in the disk on the disk, and do not smoke while you're working on a terminal computer. Heat and light. Sunlight. Never expose the disk with each excess of the heat with the direct sunlight. Either can cover the disk with it become more warped or the destroyed that can be used. The disc are made with a plastic material that if you have either the phonograph or the record, they have the exposed to the heat and sunlight while it has some idea of the damage that can result from the exposure. Typical disc will be operated between 10 and 50 degrees Celsius or 50 to 120 degrees Fahrenheit. They will accept the relative humidity of 10 to 80%. X-rays. There's some of the questions. The effect of the airport X-ray machine that I have on the disk. But normally X-ray for the walkthrough, the X-rays of the airports have no effect on the floppy. However, there's not to say that there will be no effect. After the cover of the disk containing the data work with needed, you will want to check with the chance when you affected will be affected. You won't take the chance. You may not want to take the chance that it will be affected. All right, labeling. When labeling outside of floppy disk, write the label before attaching the disk. Never use the pencil with the ballpoint right on the label when the label that has been attached to the disk. When you use the instrument sharp point with the right on the label, you can actually attach surface of the disk underneath the protected sheet, thereby destroying the disk that must write the label once for the attached to the disk and fill the tip marker. Data backup. Virtually virtually all computer systems possible except the errors that occur when they accidentally alter or destroy the data stored database file. That may occur with the natural disaster such as the fire flood, with the power outage that may occur with the operator error, with the many other equipment that malfunction. Essential, therefore, to provide means to ensure that the data loss can be recovered. The most common method of backup file. Backup files merely copy the file, and some of the reason the file of the database is destroyed becomes unstable. The backup file can be used to recreate the file of the database. The two media commonly used to back the disk or tape. Most common method of creating a backup of the microcomputer. Use the floppy disk. The disk copy the accomplished by using the original database or file with the copying of the information onto the blank floppy disk. The instruction that the procedure will provide with the particular computer with the programming you're using. Tape. Another method of creating a backup of the magnetic tape of the information containing your disk, whether in the database, the file that can be copied onto the tape. The instruction for the procedure will also provide the particular computer with the program where you're using it. Alright, Chapter 1 Summary.